Morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our U.S.A. Adoddle User Release Update webinar. We are pleased to bring you our latest release, Adoddle 19.7, which has been live as of July 1st, 2017. With Adoddle 19.7, we have released some exciting new features and enhanced our performance optimization. With me here today to present these items in the live environment, we have Devendra Gera, our Technical Director, and Jigar Mehta, Project Information Manager. And just to briefly mention the new functionalities and features that we now have available on Adoddle, we have support for clash detection in federated models. We have extensions to the IDP product, Adoddle 2D Web Viewer in all new user interface. We have improvements to form user interface. We have support for searching blank values. We have the option to disable print and download while sharing Adoddle link. A new addition in the Adoddle field application, and we can also duplicate recent defects in Adoddle fields. We'll be handling all questions and answers at the end of both presentations, but feel free to type any questions that you may have into the questions tab on your screen while the speakers are live so that we can get to everyone's questions during the Q&A session. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Dev for the first demo.
Thank you, Annie. Good morning, everyone. My name is Devendra Gera. I'm the Technical Director at A-Site. Welcome to our first ever Adoddle release update webinar. We'll be demonstrating the main features of our last 19.7 release. The aim of our interaction is going to be threefold. Firstly, you will see at first hand our latest additions and features. Secondly, it is your chance to ask questions and feedback on these features. And thirdly, we would love to hear from you how you would like your Adoddle platform to evolve. It's a journey for us, and we would like you all on board. So let's dive into the 19.7 features. As you can see on my screen, the 19.7 release notes are available in the help section under the release notes folder, along with all the other historic release notes as well. So the first item on the list is extensions to information delivery plan or Adoddle IDP product. We have extended our IDP product to support automated workflows and automatic creation of placeholders. So if I jump to the IDP interface, so what is Adoddle IDP? So Adoddle IDP is a primary plan for preparation of project information from supplier's perspective as required by employer's information requirements and as mandated by PAS 1192 Part 2 and Part 3. Adoddle IDP lists information deliverables and sets out when the project information has to be prepared, by whom, and by using what protocols and procedures for each stage of the construction project. The main interface, as you can see that at the top, we show all the stages for the information delivery. We have used the Reba stages for the demo, but the stages come from a template, which means they can be customized to your requirements. There are filters on the top, which you can turn them on and off based on what information you'd like to see. So I would not be able to go through the detailed IDP functionality in this webinar, as you know, that would be out of scope for this webinar. So I'm just talking at a high level about IDP, and then I'll dive deeper into the workflow part. So the filters on the top, they allow you to see or hide, the information which you want to see or you do not want to see on the interface. For example, on the roles, if I select all the roles, it shows me deliverables from all the organizations or all the roles, which essentially makes it an MIDP, Master Information Delivery Plan, which essentially collates separate TIDPs, Task Information Delivery Plans, aligned with design and construction program. So if I select a particular role, it becomes TIDP for that role. If I select all roles, it essentially becomes MIDP. So here I'm logged in as EPM role, which EPM stands for Employers Program Manager, which means I can define all my requirements. I can look at the project information. The reference becomes disabled once it is input, because the reference is used in the file mask. So I can then input all the other information like facility, region, etc. I can then also go into each stage, and I can define parameters like the date by which I want the information for the stage, the supplier information manager for the stage, whether it's current or not, and the level of detail or definition for that stage. I can then start adding my deliverables and start defining the requirements for my deliverables. So whether I need native format, assurance, the capability, the open format which I need, whether I need 3D model federation, and I can also start adding more deliverables or more deliverable items from here. I can then go into the stage deliverable. Again, I can define the supplier role who would be delivering this requirement, and the users of this organization can add more. They can add, he or she can add deliverable items for this stage deliverable. So in this case, I've selected IDP SIM organization as the organization who can then add deliverable items. So if I go further down, I can see the deliverable item, and I can see the selections for this deliverable item, as well as the CD folder where the data has to be delivered or uploaded. And I can select my volume location, the file type, the role, and the file number, and based on which the file mask gets updated. And if I go into this stage deliverable item, if I jump out, so you can see that the RAG status, so red, amber, green status of this stage item is green, which means the data for this stage item has been delivered with a status of published. So again, it follows the BS 1192 workflow, which we'll see in a bit, how the data can move from WIP status or work in progress status to shared to published to archive. So here the data has been delivered with the status of published, and hence it is green. But there are items which are amber, which means they are not overdue yet, otherwise they would become red. They are amber, which means they're still within the due date, and the data has to be delivered to the status of published. So for this stage item, if I hover over the deliverable item, I can see that the folder, the CD folder for this item is 05 structure. So if I jump to my files area, actually before I jump there, let me just show you the workflow. So the workflow definition for this IDP, if you just open that. So as we can see, when the data is uploaded, there's an exclusive gateway, and based on the suitability or the purpose of issue, the workflow takes different routes. So if the suitability is S0, the file status is changed to WIP, and a placeholder is created with the suitability or purpose of issue of S1. If the suitability is between S1 to S7, the file status changes to for sharing, followed by IDP validation, and a user task is given to the EPM for checking the data. So as you can see, if there is a gear icon on the top of this node, it means it is a system action. But if the icon is this, it's a user action. So based on the decision by the EPM, the document either is accepted, in which case the status is shared, and if it is rejected, another placeholder gets created for the supplier with suitability code of S1, and if it is accepted as shared, again the system would create a placeholder with suitability code of A0. So again, the purpose of doing this is we want to give a placeholder action to the supplier until a stage reaches where the document status becomes published. So the third route is the suitability code of A0 to A7, in which case the status changes for publishing, followed by IDP validation, and followed by check by EPM. If it gets accepted, the status becomes published, and the system then creates a placeholder for the next stage item. So now if I jump to my files area, so you can see under the folder 05 structure, the documents have gone through different statuses. They start with work in progress to shared to published. And if I scroll to the right, I can see my workflow, so I can click on the workflow. And here we can see that the green color shows the path which the workflow has taken for this particular instance. So in this case, it has gone through this route where the suitability was A0 to A7. Status changes to for publishing. There's also an audit trail on each of the nodes which shows when the task was executed. Goes through IDP validation. It was checked by the EPM, and the status being changed to published, and the system then creates a placeholder for the next stage item. If you look at one of the other items, so if you look at the second stage where the supplier role is A site, but the rack status is amber. And if you look at the folder, CD folder for this stage item, it is ECD within my CD area. So if I jump back and if I open that, let me put a filter there. So here we can see that that particular document has gone from work in progress to shared, and then the system has created a placeholder, and hence the status is pre-published. So if you look at the shared workflow, so here we can see that the workflow has taken this route. So the suitability code was S1 to S7 when the document got uploaded, and it was checked by the EPM. The status was changed to shared, and the system then created a placeholder with purpose of issue or the suitability of A0. So if you look at the same document, but the system has created a for publishing action for the supplier, and if we see the purpose of issue, it is A0. So that's how it basically it's a fully automated workflow along with automatic placeholder creation facility for making it easier for our clients to follow the the IDP workflow or PAS 1192 Part 2 as well as 3. If you jump back to the IDP interface, Adoddle IDP also supports plain language questions or PLQs. Essentially, each stage in a plan of work is supported by a sequence of high-level questions which establish in clear and non-technical language about the data and information that a client requires. The answers enable key decisions to be made such as whether to proceed to the next work stage. So the use of PLQ does helps organizations to identify their minimum information requirements at each stage and ensure that is mapped to the business process. So here, against the PLQs, you can also you can define what deliverables you want as answers to those questions. So here, you can click on the edit button if you're an admin, and you can define, okay, that these are my deliverables, which I need to be delivered against these questions. So in this, we can see that some of the deliverables are marked as green, and some of them are amber, which means that question is not fully yet answered. Okay, so that was at a high level about the additions which we made made to our IDP product. The second feature which I'm going to be talking about is clash detection within Adoddle CBIM, which we released in 19.7 version. So again, I'll be talking about Adoddle CBIM at a high level and then show clash detection in further depth. So CBIM stands for Collaborative Building Information Modeling. Adoddle CBIM allows the whole supply chain to interact around a centralized model. It's an enterprise class true BIM server in the cloud. What I mean by that is when the model data is uploaded from different design authoring tools such as Revit or Graphisoft, Adoddle CBIM not only merges the view part, it also merges the actual underlying data behind the model files, which I'll quickly show you an aspect of that. So I'm going to be showing Adoddle CBIM via Adoddle Navigator, which is our desktop synchronization tool. Adoddle CBIM is also supported on our standard Adoddle platform in the browser, as well as Adoddle Field, which is our mobile tool. So if I click on this model, so that's the model tabs within Adoddle Navigator. So just to quickly explain the different areas of the screen. So there's a toolbar on the top. The toolbar has different navigation options as well as annotation options, and also you can export COBie data at a federated model level, as well as IFC export. There's a model tree on the left, the model view on the right, and we have View Manager, Object Manager, and Clash Manager at the bottom. The model tree has the federated model name at the top, and then you have different work sets, and under each work set you have the model data uniquely referenced by a document reference, which can contain one or more revisions for that model data. So if we jump into the Clash Manager here, okay, so I'll just create a new clash. I click on that clash and I run the clash. It should come back. Yeah, it has come back. So I can then click on a particular clash. I can look at the clash, So here I can see there's a clash between, there's a description here. So it says there's a clash between, there's a flow segment. So there's an elbow which comes from the mechanical design, and there's a slab which comes from the architectural workset or the architectural design. So I have found a clash which essentially, clash detection enables designers to discover conflicts at an early stage of the project lifecycle, allowing for significant time and cost savings. You can capture the views of these clashes, and you can initiate workflows around these clashes. I can, at the moment I've selected isolation as hide, but I can select dim. What that does is it will show me the clash in context of my overall model. Clashes, we have hard and soft types. So hard clashes are when components occupy the same space, or they pass through each other. And soft clashes are when objects encroach into geometric tolerances for other objects. What I can do here is I can ask the mechanical contractor to give me some additional information on this elbow. So I can create an RFI. I can say give my reference. I'll say additional information, and I'll say please provide full dimensions of the elbow as attached. I can select the mechanical contractor guy, and I can say okay, send. So what I've just done is I've triggered a workflow around the clashes which I've found, and then I can the contractor would respond back, and I can basically I can solve those clashes, and it would allow me significant time and cost savings. If I jump into the object manager, and I can search for objects, I can provide the name of my object, and instead of latest as my object revision, I can select all. So what you can see here is I've got two versions of my doors. So door 1 and door 2, object version 1 and 2. And I can see here that the door has come from the architectural design model, and the object was uprevved to revision 2 when the model was revised to version 3, which means my architectural design version and version 1 and 2 had version 1 of the door, but architectural design version 3 had version 2 of the door. Okay, yeah, there are different options for navigation as well as annotation. But yeah, I think that's all from my side, Annie, as regards to the 19.7 features. So I'll give the control back to you, Annie.
Okay, thank you, Dev. Now we can change presenters to Jigar to cover the rest of the items. So over to you, Jigar.
Thank you so much, Annie, and thank you so much, Dev, for presenting the major features on the release end. In terms of the other features, as Annie described, towards the start of the session, is including improvements to Adoddle Web Viewer, which is a 2D web viewer, which allows you to view more than 300 file formats. We've got improvements to the way apps or project forms on Adoddle platform looks like. In line with the same, we've got support for searching of blank values. So basically, when a user uploads documents or tries creating RFIs or some other kind of forms in the system, if accidentally they try and miss out on mandatory or optional values. It'll be easy for you to search for those blank values now and then report back on them as well. When you have your external parties where you share the information, you try and share it via an external links, so you restrict the users by disabling the ability to print and download, or only giving them option to view and see the content or the information on the platform. Again, with all the access controls in place. That, and last but not the least, you've got improvements and abilities whereby you can search and access defects modules on iPads and tablets. You have ability of creating recent defects, or creating defects while using of recents onto the devices. To begin with the presentation, I would guide you through the A-site screen. Let me just share that. There we go. So that being, once you log on to the platform, your first screen on it being your dashboard, being interactive, gives you an oversight of what your incomplete actions are, which are due today, tomorrow, or the week, and incomplete until now. The tab on the top helps you to navigate across the platform. The help icon on the top right is context-sensitive help. So basically clicking on it would actually guide you and give you the help with respect to the segment or the feature module which you are into. Okay. If I move to our next tab of files, where all of the information sits, access to all of your projects appears in your left panel. Okay. That shows that the look and feel of this, or the layout, is very resembling to our Windows Explorer, where we have the network drives, other folders, other locations on the left, and the folder contents appearing on the right-hand side. I navigate down to a specific folder. So if you see on the right-hand side, you've got a file attribute details of the document reference, title, current status, why are the documents been issued, the purpose of issue, and so on. We try and open one of the drawings on it. So just click on the document reference, and that opens up the drawing in Adoddle 2D viewer. Now, this viewer has abilities and the capabilities of showing or supporting more than 300 file formats, including all of the native ones in CAD, 2D, 3D, Office files, AutoCAD systems, plot files, JPEG, and the Office files as well. To switch to the new viewer is where you click on Beta View, a little button on the top right-hand side. If you click there, it switches on to the new viewer screen. Now that allows you to have a clear visibility, wider area which has been covered, and functions like thumbnail view, which is on the left-hand panel, which means you can switch across multiple pages on the drawing. You could open the annotations bar or the tool by clicking on the first icon here, which is markup. You click on the new markup. It appears with the toolbar where you can choose, do you want to make drawings, which is on a cloud, either as a line, as a text editing, read actions, signatures, change marks, and etc. Once done, you can just go ahead, click on the first icon again, and then save the markup. The benefit on the platform is the moment you save a markup, it automatically creates a discussion thread which is shared across the current distribution list of the document revision, which means if I click on a little reply icon on the right, it pre-populates all of the members who have access to the current drawing or the stage of the drawing, associates your markup or the annotation, allows you to go ahead and add more options, attachments, and etc. from the same platform or your local computers, put your draft contents in, and then submit, which initiates a discussion thread for the drawing across the team members. You have abilities of expanding and collapsing models, so basically you get a wider amount of space. Clicking on the little three right dots in here, page display settings, so you can basically change the background of the drawing or the CAD files as it appears. When you change it to gray, back onto the white, or the default ones, which is white as well. You have abilities to print the way as it look and feel. You can save the current view as an image or a PDF and then have that shared across to the project team as well. That includes the viewer features. Of course, you would be more than happy to navigate around this or probably play around with this as in course when you get access to it. All right. Switching back to the listing area on the screen, if I switch to Project Forms tab on the top, I'm now going to say or present the form user interface. So on the left-hand side, I'm trying and navigating across to the communications of the forms, request for information forms. In here, I've got 3 RFIs raised on the project. I'm just going to click on the first one, which has got multiple threads. Brilliant. So here we see we've got a logo on the top. You've got a contents to say who created the RFI, what ID is it, and the descriptions on it. The responses by 2 of the suppliers or the consultants stacked one over each other. Let's switch over to a beta view, which is an improved user phase. Before I switch over, the way I access my history information, as in when were the messages being created, viewed, and etc., that appears here. Attachments or associations to the form can be accessed using the attachments button, and the threads on the message, original message, underneath it the first message, and then lastly the second message. This is how at the moment you currently are accessing it. If we switch to the beta view, once I switch to the beta view, this is how my screen appears. So you've got the actual content of the form center aligned. You've got the creator details, the date stamps, and the links to the form on the extreme left-hand side, which allows you to change status from open to closed or from closed to verified or approved based on what your form should look like. The status audit trail right at the bottom of it. The benefit of this is it allows you to have a wider screen area. Okay, clicking on the 3 lines in here allows you to access your form trail, which means your first message, the second, the third, and so on if your form has any. The advantage here is you can dock this pane either on the right-hand side to give the clear visibility on what messages contain. You can access the actions on the form, be it distribution, information, or etc., or you can export the current listings the way you see into an Excel format as well. The audit trail is available via the little clock icon on the top right, which refreshes and gives you an idea. The original message raised by Alex responded, action complete, for information action with JM Consultants and Alex Knight still incomplete. The ability of accessing attachment and associations with a paperclip in here. Switching back to the listing area now on the RFIs. Let us look at how we could search with blank values into the forms area and then followed by the ones in the files area. Now let's say for an instance you've got the RFI forms where a content is missing or an action due date is missing. How do we find those ones out? Adoddle platform has the benefit of being able to search using the filters. So you can set up a filter and share it as well as use it for yourself and the project team members. How do we go about doing it? You click on create filter here and you just pick one from the list. So you say action due date. Just click one in here, so that appears under the bar below. Click on it and you have an option of picking up a blank value search. Just select one and then click update to execute the filter on the screen. There you go. We've got RFI 1 where an action due date on one of the messages appears to be blank. Okay, this will be applied to any other fields on the form which has text inputs or action due dates and etc. Okay. Proceeding a little further, navigating back to the files area, let's have a quick insight on how we can search for the blank values for the files in here. Let's say I want to search with the same case to say action completion or action due date blank again. Right, select the same filter, so you have the filters available under files as well as project forms. Click on it, click on the blank section again, click update to apply the filter. Out of the bunch of documents, there are only 2 documents where action due dates are blank. Right, you could have these filters defined at the start of the project. Gradually going forward, you can have them shared across between team members or maybe all of the project teams as well. They can access it using the unsaved filters on the project listing. Okay, now going further down, I remove the filter. Let's now look at how can we share this information with external users for a limited time frame and restrict print and download options as well. So let's say I select a document in here, do a right click, and then click on Share Adoddle Link. Okay, let's do it for a specific folder. Considering first drawing in here, so right click, Share Adoddle Link. It comes up with that page. Right in the bottom of this, you have an option to say print and download, which means the link that you share the users with will be able to open and view, print and download the contents or the drawing back to their local computers or the system. If I untick the option, they would only be able to open and view it within the browsers, but not print or download that. However, you would want to restrict that feature as well. So if you enable the print and download but not open and view, that allows them to straight away download it by just click on the link. You could also enable notify me on download to get an acknowledgement receipt when the end users perform the activity. Okay, moving on to the next point of using the system on a tablet or an iPad. We've got an iPad app on iPad, which is this. Once you log on to an app, which is called Adoddle Field, that is how the dashboard looks like. You could access your dashboard by clicking on the little 3 lines on the top left corner. Clicking on the dashboard gives you a visibility of what actions you have, how many discussions or comments has been made, how many forms you have recently, or the defects on the top right as well. You could navigate across to different areas by clicking on different options on the left and then expanding the folder details or the navigation structures on the right hand side. Adoddle Field allows you to view drawings or content of the files within the viewer, Adoddle 2D viewer to be precisely, without you requiring any native softwares or systems being installed. You could use this to create comments or discussion threads via the icons on the top right as well. Navigating back by using the arrow on the left, that brings you back to the folder listing area where you have the folders on the left and then the contents showing up on the right hand side. If I expand the pane, you have defects, models, and apps also being accessed from the same module. So you can literally have no time where the information is missing, where you don't have the information to work with. If I now go down to the defects area, if I click on a specific project, or you call a specific site, which then has an ability of drilling down to a specific location, right? So I'm now under a site, floor A, Floor A has got two locations of kitchen area and living area. I'm going to click on kitchen area here. That has one defect being logged with cable fittings raised by Jigger with an open status. If I click on the defect, the content of the defect appears. So it's cable fittings with an electrical type, a start date of 31st of the 7th, and end date being 3rd of the 8th, which is 3 days from the date it's been raised. It's been assigned to one of the contractors to be able to fix it. Clicking on the site on the left or pressing the cancel brings you back to the listing area. The little location icon on the top right allows you to see the drawing itself on iPad, where hard pressing on an area allows you to create a defect for that particular location. It launches the form where you can type the details in or use a little arrow at the top where it says recently created defects and pick a one to populate the defects content into it. You can define the due days for it to be resolved specific to the contractors and press send. That should then allow you to create the defects, mark them up as pins on the drawing itself as well. This then can be accessed using your devices, be it your desktop or so, and the reports as well. If I switch back a level, the color codings on the left-hand panel of apartments, parking, and reception gives you a clear idea of how many open defects, how many of them are resolved, and how many of them are resolved and verified and closed out as well. Again, the number of recent defects that you would want to choose, you can set them up via your settings and the profile icon. So the number of push notifications or number of recent defects to be accessed can be turned on and off from the screen itself. That basically covers a few features from this end in terms of improvements to the user interface, Adoddle viewer, form interfaces, as well as recent defects in Adoddle Field app for us, A-side. Thank you so much. Annie, over to you again.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jigar. Now it is time for our Q&A. Okay, so let's see. Our first question is regarding setting up the IDP. How easy is it? So Jigar or Dev?
I can take that question, Annie.
Okay, perfect.
So the question is that how easy it is to set up the IDP. To be honest, it is very easy, as well as it is highly configurable. It is basically you have to click through different areas and you define the requirements for your information delivery. As I said, the stages are rebus stages for the demo, but they come from a template, which means you can customize them as well. And if you see there, the UI is very user friendly. It is highly intuitive, as well as when the supplier has to deliver the data or the information. So if I swap to my other screen where I've logged in as a supplier and I'm logged in as ISO organization supplier, and this item is amber, so I can click here. So when you have to deliver the data, you don't even need to go into the files area or the CD area. You can upload documents directly from the IDP interface. So I can drag and drop my file here, or I can select the file which I want it to be uploaded. So as you can see, I don't need to move out of this interface. All the workflows, the placeholder creation is automatically managed by the system. Um, and it is very easy to set up as well as very easy to use. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dev. Also, if anybody else had questions, make sure to input your questions on the questions tab. Okay, our next question. Can you use the Adoddle viewer on mobile phones, tablets, or iPads? Okay, Deb or Jigger?
Hi, Annie. Jigger here. I will take that question as well.
Okay, 1 second. Let's see.
Thank you. Perfect. I have a screen as on my iPad. I am logged on to Adoddle field and navigating across to different folders and different files. I can access all the sorts of files or the formats without requiring any applications or systems. Yes, so you can use the Adoddle viewer to view the files on iPads and mobile devices, including your desktop devices as normal. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jigger. All right, let's see. Okay, our next question regarding the defects module, can you set the defects to work offline as well?
Yes, I can take that question as well.
Okay, perfect.
Brilliant, perfect. I can share my screen now. So if we talk about accessing information offline, yes, you can do that too. If I go on my iPad device, navigating across to the defects, if I scroll down to the site locations, if I hard press one of the site locations area, I can just select them and click on the little blue pen icon, which starts synchronizing the defects for that particular site and location. The moment all of the defects for the specific site or the location are synchronized, the icon in front of each of those defects appear with a green pin, which means it's available offline for you to work on. To further go down into it, yes, they are all with pins in here. Once they are available offline, absolutely easy to get them back synced online as well. Hard press it again, clicking on the little pin next to the cancel link. It says unmarking off site will discard unsync offline. Be sure to sync all of your offline data before you mark the site. Are you sure you want to unmark the site? Yes or no? And if you press the green icon next to the site, that then starts synchronizing it back online as well. So you can have your information or data synchronized offline and back online as in due course, as and when available. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Jigger. I have time for one more question. Okay, for models, can you federate the model on a site?
I will take that question, Annie.
Okay. Hey, Dev?
Yes, absolutely. So Adoddle CBIM, as I explained before, it's an enterprise class model server in the cloud. What I mean by that is the data is not only merged from the view perspective, it merges the underlying data as well. And as I showed here, You can have object level versioning of the data, not just the model file level versioning. And once you have uploaded and merged data coming in from different contractors or different like electrical, mechanical, or HVAC architectural, I can then also do a COBie export of the federated model, as well as I can do IFC export of the full federated model, which I can then import into a third design authoring tool if I want. I can also export COBie at a workset level, so it's not just at the federated project model level, but at a workset level, if I've got different document references for the model data coming in, I can export COBie for that particular workset as well. Yeah, thanks, Annie.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dev. One second, guys. Okay, thank you everyone for your time and interest. Be sure to tune in for our next webinar, which is going to take place in a couple of weeks. We will be releasing Adoddle 19.8, so we can keep you up to date on all the newly released functionality that will be delivered to Adoddle. If you have any suggestions or questions regarding the platform, do not be afraid to email us. Our email address is support@asite.com. That is support@asite.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and please join us for our next webinar for Adoddle 19.8. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.